Good evening, and let's continue to address the questions which we received the last week. May I connect my hammock to a tree and use it on Shabbos? There's a Halacha Shulchan Aruch Siman Lamed Vuf that you cannot be mishtamash with a tree. You cannot use a tree. Not only you cannot put on stuff on top of the tree, but you cannot also not use the side of the tree. That means you cannot lean on the tree, lean a ladder on the tree, etc. So therefore, if you take your hammock and you connect it to a tree, you cannot use it on Shabbos because you are mishtamash with the tree. The solution to this is, the halacha is that if it's tzidai tzedudim, you are permitted to use it. What does it mean, tzidai tzedudim? If you put you put a nail into the tree, or a hook, or a chain, and then you connect the hammock to that hook, which basically the hammock is connected to the hook, which the hook is connected to the tree, that's called tzidai tzedudim. It's not direct on the tree, it's on a thing which is connected to the tree, and that's permitted. So therefore, if you want to connect a hammock to a tree, you have to first put in a nail or some kind of hook, and then connect the hammock to that hook, and then you can use it on Shabbos. Next question. May I buy salmon fish at Costco? The halacha is that you cannot buy any fish if it doesn't have simonim. It has to have fins, scales, that you know it's a kosher fish. So if you buy by Costco filleted salmon fish, which basically has no skin on it, you cannot buy it, because maybe it's not a kosher fish. Because there are some fish, non-kosher fish, which they could give some kind of food to eat and it turns pink. So because the fish which you buy is pink, it's not necessarily it is salmon fish. So therefore, if it doesn't have the simonim, you cannot buy that fish because it might be a non-kosher fish which was colored. If it has the skin on it, so you see it has the simonim, or sometimes they leave only a patch, that will also be enough because you could see on the patch the simonim. So therefore, you could buy it because it has the simonim, you know it's a salmon fish. But you have to make sure when you come home to wash it very well. Because the same knife which they cut the salmon fish, they might have cut non-kosher fish too. And it is fatty, so the shemen, the fat from non-kosher food, will be connected and stay on the salmon fish. So therefore, when you come home, you have to wash it very well, that if there is any kind of fat which stayed from a non-kosher fish, will come out, will come down. You could rely buying it and then wash it at home, since the Alter Rebbe writes in Hilchos Pesach that anything which is the derech, it's the custom to wash it when you come home. So therefore, I'm not afraid that you're going to forget to wash it. So since fish is the custom, people when they buy fish, they get fish before they cook it, they wash it. So therefore, it's a custom to wash it. Then we are not afraid you're going to forget it. So then you could rely on it, buying it at Costco, and make sure to wash it very well. Next question. May I drink a coffee in a goyish gas station that has Halav Yisrael? This question is a very important question. There's a lot of gas stations which belongs to Goyim, and they know there's a lot of Jewish people, customers stopping by, for instance at the Palisades, the Thruway. So therefore, they buy Halav Yisrael in order to accommodate the Jewish customers. Now, the question is, if I could take a coffee and use this Halav Yisrael, which it's in the store? The answer is, if it is a closed bottle and you open it, or at least you see when somebody else opens it, you could use it. But if you didn't see who opens it, and when you come, it's an open bottle, you cannot use it. Because there's a big mechloekes Rishonim. If we are choishet, if we are afraid that a goy will change a kosher food with a non-kosher food. Mechloekes Rashba, Smag. Some Rishonim hold that if he doesn't gain anything by changing, we are not afraid he will change it, and therefore you could rely it's kosher. Since it looks like kosher and you know it's a kosher food. You're only afraid maybe he exchanged it when you didn't see, you don't have to rely on it since basically he doesn't gain anything. Other Rishonim hold no. Even if it doesn't gain, we have to be choished that maybe he will change it. So this is the machlokes if he doesn't gain. If he gains by changing, everybody agrees we have a chshad and we are choished that he might change it because he could gain. He wants to have the kosher food, so and he gains by having the kosher food. So he might take for himself the kosher food and put over there, let's say, the non-kosher food. For instance, he might take a kosher piece of meat and putting over there a non-kosher meat. So by us in our situation, when he could buy non-kosher milk, which costs a fraction of kosher milk, so why should he buy a kosher milk and pay more when he could buy a non-kosher milk and refill the kosher bottle with the non-kosher milk, and he gains a lot? So therefore, if it's an open bottle, we have to be choishet that basically he took the non-kosher milk and filled up the empty kosher bottle, and he says that people should, is Halav Yisrael, we cannot rely on him and on the bottle. So therefore, if it's an open bottle, we have a chshad that he changed it with non-kosher milk and you cannot buy it. But if you open the bottle, or you see somebody else is opening the bottle, so then we know for sure it was a sealed bottle and you opened it, then you could use it and it's Halav Yisrael. But if not, you should not use shosher milk and it might be really problematic. Next question. From what time can we make early Shabbos? And what is the halachas that we need to know? Shulchan Aruch, we have that you can make Shabbos and a woman could light Shabbos candles from Plaga Mincha. Plaga Mincha means from an hour and a quarter before the Shkia. That's according to the Alter Rebbe Shitta. An hour and a quarter before the Shkia is Plaga Mincha. So therefore, after Plaga Mincha, she could light candles and the husband could be Mekabel Shabbos from Plaga Mincha and make early Shabbos. Before, if she lit the candles before Plaga Mincha, that is as if she didn't light candles and she has to light again with a bracha. So again, from when could we start making early Shabbos? From what time? From Plaga Mincha, an hour and a quarter before the Shkia. Now, what halachas do we need to know when you make early Shabbos? First of all, we need to know that if you make early Shabbos and you daven Kabbalah Shabbos after Plaga Mincha, you have to daven Mincha before Plaga Mincha. That means Mincha should be before Plaga Mincha and Kabbalah Shabbos should be after Plaga Mincha. Or Mincha should be before the Shkia and Kabbalah Shabbos should be after the Shkia. Because we have a machlokes in Gemara, the Chachumim and Rabbi Yehuda, from when you can daven Ma'ariv. Rabbi Yehuda holds from Plaga Mincha you can daven Ma'ariv, but you cannot daven Mincha anymore. And the Chachumim holds you can daven Mincha till at night, and you cannot daven Ma'ariv before night. So we could go according to either of the shittas, according to Rabbi Yehuda or according to Chachumim. But you cannot make Tarta de Sasra. That means two things which is basically two different shittas. So if you daven Mincha before Plaga Mincha, then you could be Mekabel Shabbos after Plaga Mincha. But if you daven mincha after plagi mincha, so basically you relied on the chachumim. Because according to the Bida, after plagi mincha, you cannot daven mincha anymore. So since you relied on chachumim, you have to daven ma'ariv after the shkia. So again, if you daven mincha before plagi mincha, you can daven mincha Kabbalah Shabbos after plagi mincha. But if you daven mincha only after plagi mincha, you have to wait for ma'ariv in Kabbalah Shabbos only after the shkia. It shouldn't be tarted the sasra. But it doesn't have to be every Shabbos the same. That means you could make one Shabbos like Rebide and one Shabbos like the Chachumah. But you cannot be in one Shabbos should be tarted the sasra. Another halacha you have to know is that the women have a window of not a long time when they could light candles, because you cannot light candles before plagi mincha, so she has to light candles after plagi mincha. But she also cannot light candles after her husband is makabel Shabbos by saying mizbeach shel Shabbos or barchi. So once the husband says kabbalah Shabbos barchi, so by him it's Shabbos already. He was makabel Shabbos, and automatically his wife is also Shabbos, because she goes according to the husband. So basically, she has to light candles after plagi mincha, but not later than the husband says Kabbalah Shabbos. So therefore, she has to make sure to know when in shul they're up to barchi, and light at the window of time from after plagi mincha till in the shul they would say barchi. Another halacha which we have to know is that at least lekitchila, when it comes at night, you should eat again a kazayas of challah, because the Mugavrum writes that lekitchila you should eat a kazayas when it comes night, and the Alter Rebbe brings it down. So therefore, when it comes at night, try not to finish the seder everything when it's still early, and you should eat a kazayas of challah when it's already after tzesek chuvim. Another thing is very important to note, that since you said Kriya Shema before tzesek chuvim, you have to say again Kriya Shema after tzesek chuvim, and make sure to make kiddush before a half an hour of tzes, because the halacha is once you get to a half an hour before tzesek chuvim, you cannot start the suda. So if you're gonna waste your time after davening before making kiddush, and it will come in the half an hour before tzesek chuvim, you cannot make kiddush anymore. You'll have to wait till after tzesek chuvim, say Kriya Shema, and then make kiddush. So therefore, make sure to make kiddush right after you finish davening, before and half an hour of tzesek chuvim. These are basically the important halachas which you need to know. But we have to note that basically, the Alter Rebbe writes in the Chivas that Bachsidam, the minig is not to make early Shabbos, and we daven ma'ariv and make Kriya Shema and davening and the Suda only after tzesek chuvim. Now, of course, if it's important, you have to. If you have small children or in a chavar house, you have to do it. That's something else. According to halacha, you could do it. But the Chassidam is a minig that you shouldn't do it only if you have to, and you wait till tzesek chuvim, you don't make early Shabbos. Next question. I blended an onion in a parva blender that I had cut with a fleischige knife. What's the status of the blender? We know that when a person cuts an onion with a fleischige knife, automatically the onion becomes fleischig. Now the question is, now you took the blender, which is a parva blender, and you blended the onion. Does the blender become fleischig or not? The answer is, it's a big machlokes achronim. The Mugavrum holds that yes, it becomes fleischig. And if you want to use it for parva, you have to kasher it. The Even Oizer holds you don't need to do it, it doesn't become fleischig. Not banat, it doesn't become fleischig. From the Chavaz Das is also mashma that he holds like the Even Oizer. So we have two shittas. The Mugavrum holds it becomes fleischig, the Even Oizer says it doesn't become fleischig. Now, minig oilam is to be meitel like the Even Oizer and their own Kosher, the blender. That's the minig oilam. Of course, if you want to be machma like the Munga Avruam, Tuvul of Brucha. But lamaise minig oilam is to be lenient and not Kosher, the blender, and it still stays parva. Next question. Can I donate plasma to a non-Yiddish medical center and non-Yiddish patient? A couple of years ago, we had a whole discussion in our journal, Or Yisruel, about donating bone marrow to the organizations which basically collect bone marrow, which most of them go to non-Yidden. And over there, the question was two questions. First of all, if you are mechiv to give. Second of all, even if you're not mechiv to give, if you should give, if most of them will go to a non-Yiddish person. And askumas of most poskim was that a chiyuv, no, there's no chiyuv. It's a good thing to do, but there's no chiyuv. A person is not mechiv to put himself into a skana or even hurt himself for somebody else, even for other Yid. Midas Chassidus, of course you should do it. If you have the bone marrow, which is perfect match, you should do it. And of course, plasma, which there is almost no pain at all, only a stuck of a needle, so you should do it, yes. But the question now is, should I do it for a hospital which basically has most of the patient non-Jews? The answer is yes. First of all, there's such thing as Eva. Because if you're going to start picking for whom to give and whom not to give, the Goyim will also start picking. And automatically it will come and backfire by non-Jewish people. Second of all, most of the hospitals, even though you have most of them are non-Jewish people, there are also still Jewish patients. And most of the organizations which collect bone marrow or plasma or whatever it should be, have some percentage which will go to Yiddish people also. So therefore, yes, you should donate plasma, blood, bone marrow to anyone who collects it, because eventually it might benefit one way or other also Jewish people. Next question. I forgot to light a candle on Shabbos. Do I need to add a candle from now on also on Yom Tov? We know the halacha is, if a person forgot to light Shabbos candles, he needs to light from now on, add on another candle. That means if till now he lit 8 candles, from now on you will light Mirz Hashem every week an extra candle. Now the question is, if I lit all the candles but I forgot one, by mistake one I didn't put on, do I need to add on or not? The answer is, there's a machloikes. Some poskim say that you should add on, and I would say most of the poskim say you should add on. That's the Pri Baguda, the Aliyah Rabbah, the Derech HaChaim, that even if you forgot only one candle, you should add on. The Mishnah Brira is meikel and says no, only if you got at all to light candles. But if you forgot only to light one candle, then you don't have to add on a candle. The minig oilam is that you are yes to add on a candle from now on, even only if you got to light one candle. That's the minig oilam. But the poskim say that if it comes to a person which is very, very poor, and every penny counts, and to add on from now on a candle, it will be a burden on his financial situation, then at least he should add on in kamut, in quantity. That means if from till now he used to light a candle which used to burn for 3 hours, he should put on now a candle for 4 hours. And it doesn't have to add on a new candle at all. But a kapunam, Askumas from Mois Poskum is that you should add on a candle even if you only forgot to put on one. Now, if you forgot to put on Shabbos, should you add on also on Yom Tov? And vice versa. If you forget on Yom Tov, for instance, for Shavuos, you forgot to light a candle or light all the candles, you need to add on also all the Shabbosim. Most of the poskim say that you should add on once you forgot a candle, you should add on from every time when you put on candles. And basically the Maril, which is the makar of this halacha, does not mention Machal Ner Shel Shabbos. He says Ner Shel Mitzvah. So that the same will be Ner Shel Yom Tov is also Ner Shel Mitzvah. And this is how the Mishnah Luchas Paskas, the Oz Nidbri, the Shraga, that yes, if you got to light Shabbos candle, you should add on even on Yom Tov. The same will go also if you got on Yom Tov, you should add on Shabbos. But the Rav Osner, he says no. Only when you forgot to light Shabbos candles, then you should add on. We don't see such a thing in Yom Tov. So if you forgot on Yom Tov, you don't have to add on Shabbos. But again, askumas of Mois Poskim, that once you forget, you add on to all the time when you're going to light candles. Okay, please join us next week for our next shir, and submit your shalas to inbox@Anash.org. Again, inbox@Anash.org. Good night.